Hi, this is Joshua Kulp from the Conservative Yeshiva. We're learning Daf Shevui, Daf Kuf Daled of Masechet Ketubot. I hope that you enjoyed the completion of the really interesting cycle of the death of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi stories. They are some of the most fascinating Agadot in the Talmud. But today I wanted to concentrate a little bit on the halacha that follows those stories. And this halacha is about whether or not a wife can be assumed to have forgiven her ketubah debt. Now let's remind ourselves, when a woman is widowed, she has a right to make a choice. Does she want to collect her ketubah, meaning the marital payment that her husband owes her? She can collect that sum, take her possessions, she takes her dowry back. There's a whole list, we've learned this throughout the Masechet, of what she gets back, and she leaves his estate and basically goes on her way. Remember, in rabbinic law, a wife does not inherit her husband's estate. She is considered, to a certain extent, a stranger because she's not a blood relationship with her husband. So she can take her ketubah, but as part of the ketubah conditions, the promises that she's guaranteed, he also guarantees that she is allowed to continue her living there. She's allowed to continue living there as long as she is an almanah, as long as she's a widow. So basically she has the choice of continuing to live there, perhaps forever. And certainly she has a right to live there forever under most circumstances, or take her ketubah. The question that comes up in our sugya is, does that right to collect the ketubah exist forever? If she lives there for a certain number of years, namely 25, and then afterwards wants to collect her ketubah, can she collect her ketubah? Now, 25 years is a long time to remain a widow and then get remarried in the Talmudic period. My assumption is that it would be highly unlikely. Let's take the case of a woman who married young, let's say 18, which would have been young in those days, and then is widowed very shortly thereafter. So she's, let's say, 19, 20 years old. Chances are she's going to get remarried, as probably would often happen in our day, relatively soon thereafter, not so long. How likely it is that she will wait 25 years and then get remarried seems very unlikely. A woman who's widowed, on the other hand, later in life, let's say 50 years, well, the idea that she would wait 25 years and then get remarried is even less likely. So the fact that she, according to all opinions, has 25 years in which to make that decision that she wants to leave and collect her ketubah, seems to me that most women will get the right to collect their ketubah. Now, the Gemara wanted to go over one interesting thing. The Gemara compares a regular creditor with the wife. To a certain extent, a wife is a creditor. Her husband wrote her out a document, a debt document, that he owes her a certain amount of money that will be paid upon divorce or death. So she is a creditor. However, the Gemara acknowledges that a wife is a particular type of creditor, and she's a different type of creditor than a regular creditor. Two things. First of all, creditors and borrowers don't necessarily have much of a relationship during that period in which the credit was extended. A creditor gives a person money, and then that person does what they want with the money and they have to pay it back. There's no reason to assume that they have any relationship whatsoever during that period. Unlike the case of a husband and a wife, she's living off of his estate in a healthy relationship. The two of them are performing kindnesses and generosity to each other all of the time, in which case there's the possibility that she might think, look, I don't have this kind of relationship of a creditor to my husband. He doesn't owe me something. If I need the money, I'll take it, but I may forgive him that money, and we might assume that somebody who has not, a wife who has not made a statement that she wants to collect her ketubah for 25 years has forgiven that loan. So that's one difference. The other difference between the two of them is that a wife didn't lose any money when she got married. She lost her freedom in a sense that she's now married and attached to this man, but she didn't give him money, unlike a regular creditor who gives money and then quite expectedly wants it back at a certain point. So we can imagine somebody forgiving, more easily at least, imagine somebody forgiving a debt which doesn't really cost them anything, or at least not of out-of-pocket costs, versus a Baal Chov, a creditor who would not naturally do something. That's why, according to some opinions in the Gemara, a creditor can recover his loan with no limit, whereas a wife may have a limit of 25 years because we are more likely to assume that she's forgiven the debt.